Hey everybody, Matt here at Big Red Liquors, and today I'm going to check out a new item, which is the new Maker's Mark 101. So Maker's Mark has had, a lot of controversy with proofs over the years. It started back when they tried to lower regular makers to 86 proof from 90 proof, and there was this big uproar. Anyway, they've come out with 46 since then. They've come out with cask strength since then. And I have to say, I think cask strength, big whiskey, it's where the market wants to be. But, for my money, I think to me the benchmark for bourbon, absolute perfection, is 7 years at 107. I mean, that's what Baker's is. That's basically what Weller Antique is. And I think this is the closest thing to the perfect Maker's Mark. The new Maker's Mark 101. Finally, something that keeps that really nice, soft, wheated profile. It's got that light caramel. It's got that honey. It's got the vanilla. It's got all the things you really like about a drinkable Maker's Mark, but then it's got just enough proof to pop with the spice that is a nice sort of oak spice. Obviously, this is a wheated bourbon. You're not getting any spice from the rye. But to me, it just works perfectly together. Finally, a harmonious Maker's Mark. And I grew up on Maker's Mark. I mean, that's one of the first bourbons that I tried. And honestly, it was never like regular Maker's was not necessarily my favorite bourbon. I did like the cask strength. I've sort of vacillated back and forth between liking the 46 or not, but I think this is finally a Maker's Mark that I can really get behind as like a true bourbon enthusiast. And what we're doing with it, we're doing a $29.99 on it, and that's like decently lower than really what MSRP is. But I think that's the right price for this product. I think it's the right price, and I think no bourbon aficionado is going to be disappointed in this bottle at all. Maker's Mark has a rather sort of strange private select program. It's pretty far out there. It's pretty unique for, the stave recipes. Again, that's another one where I'm not always sure how much sense that really makes in terms of flavor profile. But I have to say unequivocally, this new Maker's Mark 101 is an absolute home run. I'm finally kind of just... It's a Maker's that I'm just happy with across the board. It's perfect. So let's stop yapping and start drinking. All right, so comes in a nice box if you care about that kind of thing. Obviously, a little bit of a different look and feel to the bottle. Red wax seal. I'll do a fresh pour here and let you see the color. Obviously, there's no age statement on these Makers, but this is going to be in that 5 to 6 year range. Some may be a little bit older, some may be slightly younger than that, and I don't know, if the age affects the calibration to the regular proof. Whether the 101 can be bottled younger possibly, or maybe it needs to have a slighter older age profile. They don't really say much about that, but there it is. Sorry, I should have a Maker's Mark Glencairn, but I don't have one. Big hit of honey right up front on the nose, and then you get like a touch of citrus. There's like a little slight kind of grapey note there. I get that nutty sort of almond note. And then just more like fruit. So apples, pears, that kind of orchard fruit to go with the citrus and to go with that honey that I think is just sort of a trademark, a Maker's Mark. Hallmark. All right. God, Yeah, so this literally just hit our Barrel Select stores last week, and it's out there, and I think at $29.99 it's a steal. All right, let's taste it. See, that's what regular Maker's Mark was missing. This is like got a really soft, that really soft wheated entry, that caramel vanilla sweetness, but then it doesn't like die and dissipate on the mid palate. The mid palate is really strong, and it's carrying that oak spice. It's carrying some more of that orchard fruit across through the finish. The finish doesn't even, I mean, the finish is not like super long, but it goes much longer than a regular Maker's Mark. I mean, it's amazing to me how just a few of these proof points can make such a huge difference in the delivery of what I still think are like classic Maker's Mark flavors. So I'd recommend this to anybody, newbies, enthusiasts. Hey, if you're a newbie and you want to try like pure Maker's Mark flavor, you know, grab this 101 and throw an ice cube in it and wait about 45 seconds, and it'll be calibrated perfectly to what you want. But if you're an aficionado and you want to sip a wheater neat with pedigree, with age, even though they don't put an age statement on it, with the right proof, you know, to me, this is a Thursday moving into Friday night bourbon. And for $30, and you can get it now anytime you want on the shelf, grab it before it gets allocated, because, you know, we've seen that happen so many times. Is they'll release something that's fantastic and they won't be able to keep up with demand. The nice part here is, you know, this is just a nice program that folds into Maker's Mark. So they don't, you know, it's regular Maker's Mark basically bottled at 101 proof. So they should be able to keep up with demand. But this is definitely a bottle that you need to go out right now and grab, because it is just that good. It's really delicious. It's chewy. It just has the right amount of balance, of spice, of sweetness, of fruit. And that's what a lot of bourbons now are missing. They, you know, they'll have one or two of those elements, but they won't have all of it, and they won't be in that right balance. And sometimes if they're too old, you know, they'll be over oaked and they won't have the sweetness that they need, at least for like the entry right on the tip of the tongue. And they won't have that balance of oak. It'll be too woody, and I've tasted that before. Or they'll be too young, or they won't be proofed correctly. They really hit the nail on the head here, and I think they're finally meeting the bourbon enthusiast where they are, which is a release that is available, that tastes great, and yeah, I can't say enough about it. And the reason that it's kind of a surprise is that it's sort of rare that a bourbon release in this day and age wouldn't necessarily be like a marketing gimmick or a company that just came out of nowhere, or something just kind of like not that interesting, some sort of like tortured backstory or whatever. No, Maker's Mark, Weller Suntory, this is a company with lots of pedigree. I'm actually just kind of pissed that they didn't think of this before. I know they've tasted their own product at 101. I know they've tasted their own product at 107, so I know they know what it tastes like. Why wasn't this released 5 years ago? But no matter, better late than never, and kudos to everybody at Maker's Mark for putting out a really stellar, delicious bourbon on the shelf. Can buy it today. Go and get it. All right. Cheers.